mysterious and fascinating place, and filled with all manner of enigmatic creatures that we call crypto creatures, because they appear, and many people have seen them, and many people have gotten grainy and blurry photographs of them, but there's no real proof of their existence. It would be difficult to be a stamp collector and get bored. And I mean, there's quite literally something in stamps for almost every taste. You'll even, as I find these mysterious monsters, ghosts, and entities of the enigmatic cryptozoological realm that I was just speaking of, which is where we find ourselves today. Now, here's a small, and you're going to be seeing a bigger image of it right now, I hope. Here's a small lenticular 3D stamp from Bhutan, a small country which borders on China. It's in 3-dimension, very nice 3-dimension for a very little stamp like that. So, anyways, as I said, it's near China, and the subject of said stamp is the Yeti, also known as the Abominable Snowman, who many believe is a sort of distant cousin from our own beloved Sasquatch or Bigfoot, who roams the dense and sometimes not so dense forests of North America. This is not the only Yeti stamp released by Bhutan, but it is, as of now anyways, the only 3D issue, and it's very unique in my opinion. But they also released a set of triangular stamps featuring Old Harry, and we'll take a look at those a little bit later on. But as you can see, Yeti is hiking along in the snowy Himalayan mountains of Nepal or Tibet on this stamp, which I guess is supposed to be Yeti's native habitat. Now, Bhutan is one of those countries who produces a lot of postal issues aimed more at the collector market than the actual usable postage market. Well, it is all usable, but for a lot of their product, collectors want them. And I have to believe that they were also used postally, but a lot of stamps for Bhutan and other countries, pandering to us collectors, seem to release collector stamps already canceled, so it's difficult to know really what has been postally used and what has not. Now, the stamps I'm showing you now are winging their way to me. They are also from Bhutan. They're the ones I mentioned a moment ago. These are triangular stamps that I spoke of, and there are 5 values, and each stamp has a traditional stylized illustration of the Yeti. Very curious looking interpretations indeed, I think you'll agree. And the Yeti is a very mysterious crypto creature. They've been around for a long time and deserving, I think, of these commemorative stamps. But let me tell you a little bit about this creature, which may or may not be an actual living entity. Now, I want to thank, for this background material on the Yeti, a paper titled A Brief History of the Yeti, found at monstrumathenaeum.org. I'll put a link in the description, okay? So, but please be sure to visit that site. It's a very, very fascinating site. All right, we're going to be looking at a picture here of a Yeti footprint. This was photographed by Eric Shipton in the Himalayas in 1951. Now I quote, "The Yeti, also commonly known as the Abominable Snowman, is a humanoid cryptid from the Himalayan areas of Nepal and Tibet. The name Abominable came into use in 1921 when Charles Howard Bury led an expedition to Mount Everest, and in his book, Mount Everest, The Reconnaissance, 1921, referred to tracks made by an unknown creature the locals called Mito Kangima, or Kangimi, which he translated as meaning Abominable Snowman. However, despite Howard Bury coining what would become the popularized name for the beast, the stories behind the history of the Yeti are indeed much older. One of the earliest documented sightings of a Yeti came from an account published in the Journal of Asiatic Society of Bengal in 1832 by B.H. Hodgson. Hodgson was traveling with some local guides in northern Nepal when they saw a tall bipedal creature which ran from them. It was covered in long dark hair, and Hodgson mistakenly assumed it was an orangutan, not knowing that orangutans were only found in Malaysia and Indonesia, and not in the Himalayas. Reports increased in the 20th century dramatically because more Westerners ventured into the area to climb the mountains of the Himalaya range. And in 1925, N.A. Tambazi, a member of the Royal Geographical Society, saw a creature at 15,000 feet near the Zimu Glacier. He said it walked like a human and was foraging from some bushes. It was dark against the backdrop of snow, and it wore no clothing. A while later, they found some tracks that were similar to those of a man, but only 6 to 7 inches in length and 4 inches in width. Now, the sightings reached a peak in the late 1940s and early 1950s as the efforts to scale Mount Everest grew. In what has become perhaps the most famous piece of evidence, in 1951, Eric Shipton took the photograph of a suspected Yeti footprints in the snow at 20,000 feet. And that's the footprint that I just showed you, and hopefully I'm showing you right now. Now, even the famous Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay reported seeing footprints during their climb up the mountain. Hillary later distanced himself from the original reports, but Tenzing maintained he thought the Yeti was a large ape, which he had not witnessed himself, but that his father had indeed seen. And Tom Slick, a wealthy American, funded investigations in the late 1950s, which turned up some supposed Yeti droppings. Analysis of the droppings led to the discovered a previously unknown parasite, fostering a theory that if the parasite was an unknown species, and so too was the host of the parasite, presumably the Yeti. More recently, in 2007, a TV presenter, Joshua Gates, and his team cast footprints possibly belonging to a Yeti, as well as collecting some hair samples. And the samples were analyzed forensically and confirmed to contain an unknown DNA sequence. So all these things add up to, yeah, there's something there. The DNA is different from what we know. It had an unknown species of parasite, what have you. But the only thing that's going to be definitive proof is an actual body or skeleton. Now, there is in existence, and I don't know if I don't think it's been disproven, but it may have been, a scalp of a Yeti that's in the possession, I believe, of some Tibetan monks, and it's only allowed to be seen infrequently. So, what do you think? Is Yeti real or not real? I believe personally that Yeti's real. I believe that Sasquatch and Bigfoot are real. Too many sightings to be totally ignored. But I think that the little stamp from Bhutan and the series of 5 stamps, triangular, also from Bhutan, are a fitting tribute to a very mysterious creature that keeps a lot of us guessing and makes this old mysterious world all the more interesting. If there were no mysteries, what a boring place it would be. Well, I want to thank you for stopping by today. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will be back with you really, really soon with another video about stamps. That was my door slamming shut by itself. The paranormal. No, it was the wind. All right. Have a great day. God bless y'all, and I love you all very much. See you soon.